This is my presentation for the Book of Enoch. First of all, I really enjoyed reading the Book of Enoch. I wanted to read it. I didn't want to just, find out information about it and compile something about the Book of Enoch. I wanted to read it. I wanted to understand it as much as I could. I found that it was easier to read than the Bible. The version that I read, I found it on YouTube where you could read it and also hear somebody say it at the same time. So sometimes I would stop and pause it, or if I thought that I didn't hear that quite right or get the concept of it, I would go back and listen to that portion again. So the reason why this was the topic was so interesting to me, and I started my paper out opening with it, is because culturally here in the United States, the Book of Enoch is super convoluted, and there are a lot of YouTubers that talk about aliens and UFOs, mainly spurned by Zachariah Stitchin, who, even was featured on the Ancient Alien episode, which is part of the article or the paper that I wrote, his analogy is that the Watchers are the Anunnaki, and they are an alien race that has been, and they use the Book of Enoch as an example. There's a lot of people on YouTube that talk about giants and the Nephilim. There's videos of people with skulls and this and that, big heads, big bones. I'm not really sure how authentic it is. I guess there were giants, and giants are part of our folklore. However, out of all of this, the only place that the Book of Enoch has ever been canonized is in Ethiopia. So I'm going to go through my article here a little bit. I call it an article. It's a research paper. I guess I'm too tuned into the reporting, right? But I'll go over my research paper on it. One more thing that comes to mind too, Hollywood has done things with the Book of Enoch. I believe they casted, if you can remember right, there's a movie, I think it stars Denzel Washington in it. So anyway, I'm going to click to this, my page here. And I pretty much described how it came about on YouTube and everything, and Zachariah Stitchin. But however, yes, the Book of Enoch did originate in Africa, and today Ethiopia is the only place where the religious book has been canonized. And scholars have studied the Book of Enoch, and the remains of the Book of Enoch are very integral to part of Ethiopian culture, and it's significant to Ethiopian Christian identity. The Book of Enoch also supports the belief that the Ethiopian kings are the descendants of King Solomon, thus upholding their divine right to rule. Also, the Book of Enoch is considered to be mythical. See, most other religions, which we know all religions started in Africa. Christianity started in Africa. So all other religions that spurned off do not recognize the Book of Enoch as being, I guess, a legitimate text that should be included in the Bible, even though Enoch is mentioned in Genesis. And I'm going to get that here in a second, to that area. But so it says, the Book of Enoch is considered to be mythical as opposed to the Bible, which is canonized but is upheld in the Ethiopian Orthodox Tawahedo Church. From an academic perspective, the Book of Enoch provides insight into the historical interactions and blending of religious communities along the trade routes that connected Africa, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. From an African studies perspective, the Book of Enoch has theological, historical, and cultural significance in Ethiopia, and it holds a unique position in world religion traditions. Here in my paper, I talk about how religion started, the first guideline, the belief that there is one God, came about in Kemet around 3100 BC, and and Maat was created. Now, Maat was actually created later than the book. I mean, the Book of Enoch came before Maat, because it was created in 4 BC. So the Book of Enoch, it does tell the story of the fallen angels and their mating with human women. In Genesis 6:4, the Nephilim were in the earth of those days. This is a quote from the Bible. It says, the Nephilim were in the earth of those days. And after that, when the sons of God unto the daughters of men and bore children to them, the same were the mighty men of old, the men of renown. The men of renown were the giants. And this is where we get the story of David and Goliath and the folklore stories and the fairy tales of giants. The Book of Enoch is broken up into 5 different parts. The first part is the about the Watchers, is the Book of the Watchers, and that's the part that does discuss the fallen angels who took human wives, leading to the birth of the Nephilim. Also, that falls into the 33 angels that fell to earth, and then also it's believed that Lucifer also was one of those angels that decided to fall. The second part, the book of, but that's not mentioned in, by the way, the Lucifer and the 33 and the number and all that, that's not mentioned in the Book of Enoch. The Book of Parables contains visions of heavens, prophecies of the punishment awaiting the wicked, and the further vindication of the righteous. Now, I'm kind of wondering, is this like pre-flood, pre-Noah flood? Because Enoch was Noah's grandfather. So this, is it pre-flood, or to me it reads almost like Revelations. It could still be happening now. The astronomical book, it describes the heavenly bodies intended to explain the calendar and cosmic phenomenon. And this part I really found interesting when you mentioned that, that Africa had all this knowledge already about the cosmos. The calendar was created in Africa. So I think that this part of the Book of Enoch corroborates with that fact. So that's really stuck out to me. Like here was Enoch talking. When you listen to it, you realize he is describing the calendar even up to, the leap year and everything. There's the Book of Dreams and Visions, which accounts the history of Israel in the form of animals and allegories. And this section too was. I should probably highlight that. Sorry, I just noticed that I could bold this. Okay. The Book of the Visions, part 4, the Book of the Visions, recounts the history of Israel in the form of animal allegories. And it was very much like that. There were these corrupt, they called them the Lord Shepherd, or the Lord Sheep, the sheep that became the dynasty. It represented, the king, or the kings and queens or the emperors, whoever's in power between Palestine and Syria. And it talked about Palestine, Syria, and Israel, which was fascinating to read, that even back then, considering today what's happening between Palestine and Israel, I found that to be interesting. Also, there was the Epistle of Enoch. This includes a series of appeals and warning to Enoch's descendant, to Noah, and letting them know, and his family, letting them know what is to come, what is ahead of them. And again, this is pre-flood. The creation of the alphabet, knowledge of the sciences, astronomy, and calendar originated in Africa. So here I'm making the point about how the astronomical book describes the heavenly bodies, and it corroborates. And pretty much, my wrap up on all of this is that again, the Book of the Book of Enoch fills the blanks regarding the reasons for Noah's Ark and the great flood that destroyed the Nephilim, whose DNA was impure by the fallen angel's sins. The Book of Enoch also prophesies the coming of the Messiah, also known as the Son of Man, the final judgment as prophesied in the Book of Revelations, and the history of the universe and celestial movements. Spirituality, like I said before, in all religions started in Africa, and the Book of Enoch is significant in the study of apocalyptic literature. It provides insight into the Second Temple of Judaism, which was a crucial period in developing early Christianity and rabbinic Judaism. I don't know if I said that right. The themes and imagery in the Book of Enoch have influenced various religious traditions, and it remains a subject of interest for scholars and theologians studying ancient texts. However, like I said before, it did inspire UFO researchers like Zachariah Stitchin and other YouTubers. Other YouTubers that are grifting. I know a guy. I wrote that in there because I witnessed it. There was a guy who, saying, doing interviews saying that he was Nephilim, but then he was like selling his, very marginal rock music CDs. So there you go. Anyone, like I said, anyone can research the Book of Enoch on YouTube, and they will find thousands of videos, even coming out today, because every time we get around a certain time of year or certain numbers come up, oh, this is the end, we're in Armageddon or whatever, and then these books, these stories will come up, but never once, out of everybody, out of ancient aliens, out of YouTube, out of everybody, I don't believe anybody has acknowledged that all of this came from Africa, and that the one place that this book is actually canonized and a part of their culture is Ethiopia.